Tell me about your vision.
Yeah, the vision was created because I had a lot of challenges and problems that I wanted to solve for me first. And so, as an example, one of those was, like I mentioned in my story, having something that I really controlled and felt I had this kind of ownership of.
Mhm.
So businesses come and go, opportunities come and go, partnerships come and go, but the one thing that continues to be there is you and your reputation. And so social media has created an opportunity for people to really have that online business card that's going to continue to be there no matter what company is in your bio this year, or over them, or maybe many companies that you might own in the future.
Yeah.
And so my vision for myself was to create Jeremy and have that be at the center of kind of the ecosystem of everything that I'm involved in or that I do. And that's allowed for relationships to grow and people to say, you know what, maybe I actually like this person and vice versa. That's opened doors. That's allowed me to do things like I would consider skipping the line, right? So, how does somebody get on stage with really big speakers? How does somebody go from unknown to having an abundance of opportunities, being invited onto podcasts, doing these things? The brand is one of those, is a definite reason that one of those things happen. And so, yeah, Influencer Club was created once I started to notice how powerful the platforms were, like Instagram, being able to connect with so many people, start doing business, getting onto those speaking stages with people. Then I started to build a team around that concept. And
Yeah.
so as that team grew, I was able to really turn this thing into like a system,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, that's a whole nother conversation, but it's a really big challenge for everybody because they know they want to use social, but sometimes it ends up becoming a really big time spend if you don't have kind of the right direction or the right tools or end goals in place. And so I feel like we just did a lot of testing for the first 5 years to
Mhm.
figure out what really is important to me, and then I turned that ended up kind of turning into a business because so many others, uh, you know, showed interest in. Yeah, I'd love to have a team of people helping take care of all of these things. I'd love to have a
Yeah.
podcast coordination team. I'd love to have influencer campaigns happening while I am running my business, right? And so that became a big eye opener for Influencer Club to be created. So yeah.
You said a word that stuck out to me, which is reputation. I had been reading, of course, somewhere on social media, how someone's reputation can affect their brand. Can you speak on that just a little bit?
Yeah, I think now more than ever,
Mhm.
the market is not just looking for the quote unquote best product.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're also looking for things like um, connection with the owners, connection with the individual that owns and runs the business,
Yeah.
and you see this in the choices that people make, everything from, what restaurants and foods that they buy and engage with to, what networking events and platforms they choose to engage with, to what books they read, to, you think about any sort of coaching program. There are millions of said program, but why does somebody choose to work with you or myself or any given individual? And so that kind of speaks to the personal brand being so important, because it could just be something so as simple as a personal trait, or something that something about you that makes somebody want to connect and do business with you versus 1,000 others.
Yeah.
So I think that that's kind of become really important and changed the game a little bit.
And I think the game is really changed. I recently got out of the corporate business into real estate, and I realized the difference between what it looked like in the past as an entrepreneur and what it looks like now. And I guess you would call it the sales game, where it wasn't much of a relationship in the past. It was more about, profit and keep going, and not many relationships built. And as I dive deeper into real estate and become, a veteran, I realized that it is strictly about relationships, knowing someone, liking them, and trusting them. And with that all being said, how do you take someone that is, just beginning and getting them further, into being known and branded and making a name, I guess, for themselves, if I may say?
Yeah, I think some of the building that foundation of, let's say, relationships, or kind of getting yourself into any given network or marketplace. Some of these skills, or bullet points, they stay the same forever. Okay, so let me be clear. Just because you might be starting out does not mean that once you create a level of success, don't forget about these things. They stay the same always. Okay, so as an example, like, I'll pick up the phone and have a conversation with just about anyone. Okay, no matter what, because I never know who's going to come through and meet one of my team members, who might get on the phone with me. Okay, now I might have more of a system now that we have a business that's grown and developed. Okay, maybe we have some people at the front of the gate now. Okay, to open the gate and decide who comes in. But I'm still looking to find out, because you never know. I've created some of the most impactful relationships through a random Instagram message to one person that turned into a 15-minute, great to meet you phone call, that turned into relationships with some of our biggest members, clients, that turned into referral networks and partnerships. And so again, that's all comes from one random message to somebody that at face value, maybe there wasn't anything there. And someone could easily say, no worries. I don't need to take that. You'll hear that a lot in the beginning of business. People are focused on who's my target demographic. I need to talk to the right person. And a lot of the times what they mean well, but what they're really saying is, I only want to talk to the people who are ready to buy from me or do business with me now. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning of the foundation to get yourself into the world, you need to connect with anyone and everyone and kind of find out who engages with you. Find out what's behind each door, because I promise you, that phone call that you decided not to take, there was somebody there, and they might have just called their wealthy uncle, and you might have sold, a $10 million property, okay, from one phone call, as an example, in real estate, right? Or you might have missed out on $1 million in capital because you didn't feel like that was your target demographic, okay? You really never know. So in the beginning, using social media, what it's meant for, don't focus so much on the things that you can't control, like the metrics and the likes, and I need to get more views right now. That's not as important as how many relationships, how many phone numbers, how many new contacts did you get from social media this month, that you can actually go out and go try and provide value, build a relationship with somebody.
Absolutely. I love how you said that. And I love the fact that you continue to use relationships. And you pretty much are saying, Jeremy, is that that's how you have created the business that you have, is because you decided to create relationships and not put so much thought into it. You said something about success, and I'm going to randomly ask you a question. What is success to you?
Success to me, I think it varies because as you grow and as time goes on, you're continuing to change and get better, and success is always ever changing. But I think the one thing that stays the same is you truly being on a mission for something that you really care about, for something that you want to create an impact with. And that might not be the place that you're in at this very moment. Yeah. Okay. So for all of the individuals out there that think, well, I need to be a business owner to be successful. I have to be an entrepreneur because that's what the cool thing is to do. Uh, there are incredibly successful employees. There are incredibly successful, partners, husbands, wives, okay, that help one another, that push one another. So there are so many different definitions, but the real definition for me is to be on a mission that you truly care about or are pursuing. So
I love that. I love that. And now I'm going to ask you, what are the greatest joys of what you do?
The greatest joys of what I do. So, there are lots of ROI focused things that we could sit here and talk about and say, this person increased their business. This person had massive success. This person's on a Netflix TV show now. We could talk about all successful metrics. But what the greatest joy of what I do is when I hear someone come back to me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and they say, I remember when I was terrified to even put myself out there. I had no clue what my brand was, what my message was. I didn't think that this could work for me. Hey, Jeremy, I really took a leap of faith and I trusted in this process. And because of that, all of these special things have started to happen. And so when I feel someone's attitude and confidence about who they are and what they can accomplish change, I think for me, that's the biggest, proud, whatever, mentor, partner, friend, coach, whatever they want to consider our relationship at that time. That's definitely the best moment within the business. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy, Jeremy, because I felt that through the screen. Like I got goosebumps because that does seem, your body language changed and everything. And that does look and feel like it is the greatest joy. You mentioned some things that it sounds like, or I've read that you've actually worked with is Netflix stars, top real estate agents. And you decided to tell me a story about someone that's contacted you. So in that just says a lot about you. And I'm sure the audience would love to know, what's a few keys to building a personal brand that drives results? Give them a little something.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I'll start with the the bullet point that no one wants to accept. Okay, the trend. Okay, the 30-day trend, whatever you're hearing that you're supposed to do, okay, is not necessarily what you actually want to do or need to do. All right, so get rid of all of the other content experts and everything that you're told to do. You need to post 40 times a day in order to be successful, and you got to be on 16 platforms. And if you're not doing reels 16 times a day, you're not gonna break through. Just put all that aside for a moment and think about this. Your social media, whether it's your Instagram or whichever platform you choose, first off, I would recommend, number one, pick one or two and start to go really deep on them. Okay, if you don't have a proof of concept with one, it's very difficult to try and succeed on 5. Okay. So just go deep with one or two platforms. Pick Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever your platform is. And think about, just do a little page audit for yourself. Okay. When you go to your own profile, you take a look at your profile picture, you take a look at your bio, you take a look at your first 3, 6, 9, 12 photos and videos. Can you easily and clearly see who you are, what you do, and maybe a little bit about you, kind of on a personal level, hobbies, lifestyle? Okay.
Yeah.
So if you can, great. Okay. We want to improve that by some of the things we'll talk about next. But if you can't clearly read in your bio what you do, who you are, some really strong info about you, somebody should be able to really see who you are within 30 seconds of being on your page. Okay. So the balance of the brand is professional, personal, and hobbies and lifestyle. And so a lot of people want to just focus completely on business. And, if I just put out enough business content, if I give people enough tips on how to be successful or enough tips on what the real estate market is doing today, look, that's great. But don't forget that the photo of you with your friends out to dinner, the photo of you with your mom and dad, the photo of you with your husband, your kids, at the park, having an ice cream. I mean, whatever it is, those little pieces of content are so important. And I promise you, it's not what all the experts tell you. It's not what everybody says, because it's almost too common sense. Okay. Why does someone invest in another person? Why does somebody buy from another person? Why, think about any big business leader. If you've heard of a Grant Cardone before, this guy went and raised millions and millions of capital on social media. Well, one of the biggest reasons why is because when you go and look, you see him as a father, as a husband with the kids, and yes, also many years of business and a good track record. But it's not just the track record; it's the ability to connect with somebody. And this is what we talked about: the difference between branding now, what's accessible to 50 plus years ago. It wasn't as accessible to see the CEO, the founder, or even the employees that are a part of a business, and see who they are, learn a little bit about them, see what they did over the holidays, family, friends, lifestyle. Oh, he or she likes to go golfing. They like to go hiking. They like to travel. Okay. So these things are so important, because when I get a phone call from someone and they go on my Instagram and somebody says to me, I just saw you got married. Congratulations. What a beautiful photo. Isn't that an interesting way to start that convo?
Yes. Yes.
And if you were to guess, did that convo end up going well, or did it go bad? Okay. It went very well.
Yes.
Versus if it was just business, or let's say I'm trying too hard. Okay. You just want to show off. You want to show something that's inauthentic. Look, I'll be honest, the people that have the fancy cars and they're standing in front of the cars and all that stuff. Look, hey, if that works for you, great. Chances are, if that person got on the phone with me, they were not going to be excited. They weren't excited about, hey, here, take my money. Okay. Hey, I want to invest in you. No. So there are things that make sense when you meet somebody that you say, I feel this person is a good person. I like who they are. And you know what? I even saw they're a musician, or they like to play a certain sport. These are the things that should be on your profile as a business card. Okay. It's like a family photo album mixed with your business card. And if you can create this balance, go look at even the wealthiest people in the entire world. Go look at their social media. Even Mark Zuckerberg has chosen to start working on the personal side of his brand and kind of showing himself in a more relaxed light, kind of being in more social events, showing his new style off a little bit. Why does somebody do that? Well, after so many years of being behind the scenes, he's probably realized, and recognized, it would be beneficial for me to get kind of in front and show a little bit about who I am, but outside of the business. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I hope that gives everybody like enough info to go off of in the beginning. Make sure your profile looks okay, clean, that people can see who you are and what you do.
Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision and becoming a Vision Pro yourself.